Hi, I'm Jim Ducharme from Maripost Email Marketing, and I'm here at EEC, the DMA event in Miami, Florida, and I am with one of my favorite people, Brian Solis, keynote speaker. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me again.
Well, thanks for being here, and I know people really enjoyed your talk, and the basic message of the talk was we really haven't figured, we need to spend more time figuring out who we're trying to communicate and how they think. And I thought one of the things that you did, one of the examples that you offered about the 1-year-old using a tablet and how intuitive it is for them was excellent. Because I think that every parent in this room, I have a 4-year-old, she has one of those kid tablets, she just picks it up. She just knows. She hasn't had to retrain herself. So maybe, what would you suggest to marketers out there who are looking at this new technology, even wearable technology like this, this smartwatch, and thinking, how am I going to leverage those different, platforms? It's the channels are the same, but the platforms that those channels are on are changing now.
Right. Look, I mean, it's not easy. I'll just be honest. But it starts. There's a quote that I find really incredible, inspiring. It's Leo Tolstoy says, we all talk about changing the world, but we never really talk about changing ourselves. And that's where it starts. It's about perspective and it's about approach, right? Perspective, when we look at kids and smartphones, or we look at just any adult with a smartphone, I use the example of getting into an elevator and how no one will look at you in the eye because everybody's down, their faces are on their screens. We tend to disregard it or to be skeptical about that behavior, right? It's an us versus them sort of approach, and we see this in the workforce today with older managers and younger employees. They didn't come up the way I came up, and therefore that's not a good thing. And the way that people are behaving and using technology, it's different, therefore it's not a good thing. But we have to understand what they're doing, what's important to them, why they're focused, how they communicate, how they share, and plug in, because it's not going anywhere. Right? And I think the biggest challenge is that how we approach something and how they approach something are very different, which means that we have to change our approach if we're going to be engaging and meaningful to somebody their way.
I think it's interesting that you say that, because the advantage that we've had in previous channels, previous technology for media, is, and I think in some ways it's a disadvantage. What you had with radio, for example, was you had an influx of marketers that probably came from print, who started, formatting radio the same way that they would format print to some degree. Then even more of an effect was radio. When TV came along, the people who had been formatting radio started formatting television along the same lines. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, what scares the heck out of me is we're seeing that with online marketing as well. And I know it's momentum. And I know, if it works, you're not going to fix it. But I'd like to see people start doing stuff. And I'm not saying some haven't. You do see some real originality out there. But what's wrong with asking those questions, like, is this the right way to do it? Am I coasting? Let's step outside that comfort zone.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you follow that train of thought. Print, when online became popular, we brought a print mentality to online. And when social became a big deal, we brought a traditional digital approach to social, and then mobile. We're bringing legacy with us. And so look, there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But let me tell you, it is broke. We have to fix it. And the problem is us, right? And it's our legacy, it's our methodology, it's unlearning everything that we've learned over the years in order to relearn. And look, at the end of the day, I'm an analyst, I'm a digital anthropologist, but I'm also a student. I am always resolved to understanding and learning how things are different than me. And when I can do that, then I can start to get smarter again. I can start to build experiences based on new learnings. And that's what we have to do. This is a tremendous opportunity for each of us to earn our way into the future and not be left behind. I'm not going to be part of Darwinism. I'm going to be part of Darwinism in a good way, because I'm going to be part of defining the future.
I think that's an absolutely brilliant insight, and I really do think that we have to every day, even if doing something different is not doing anything at all like we did yesterday. Taking that one little break where we say, okay, this is the way we've done it every single day, but today we're just not going to do it at all.
Right. No, I think you're exactly right, Jim. And look, I'm inspired by what I don't know. I'm inspired by the people I don't reach today. And as long as you can aspire to do something differently, and do something differently in a way that you can feel not just you learned something, but that you can become fulfilled because you learned something and you made an engagement and by trying something new. That's validation, right? And that's also continued inspiration. I think that's the problem, is that we rely too much on the past, right? And we're supposed to. If you don't know the past, and history repeats itself, and yes, that we have to know the past. But we also have to know that history shows that when we don't try to adapt, we fall to it. And this is that moment. We're at a crux in evolution, in marketing, in business in general. A new customer is rising. Heck, at the same time, a new employee is rising. We have to change, because if we don't change, we cannot lead the direction of where all of this is going. And if we cannot lead, that means we're going to react to everything. And if we get in a pattern of reacting, we're going to react our way out of business.
You know, most of the time the problem is that we think history teaches us what we should do, but in reality the message we never hear is that what history wants to teach us is what we shouldn't do.
I don't even know, maybe I should be interviewing you. That's exactly right. I love that statement.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the keynote. Brian Solis. Brian, let's plug your new book, because you just released a new one, just came out, right?
Yeah, thanks. It's called What's the Future of Business, which stands for WTF. You can get it at WTFbusiness.com. You'll find all the stores that sell it. But basically, it talks about all of this, the new consumer behavior, and how to adapt in order to lead their experiences.
Brian, thanks again. Appreciate it. Jim Ducharme from Maripost Email Marketing. We're here live at the EEC, the Email Evolution Conference in Miami, Florida.